to your question in
Yeah.
terms of 2016 and anti-corruption. I think 2016 brought to fore the political face of corruption in terms of how corruption in Zimbabwe seems to be linked to the reproduction of political power, and how the state lacks that willingness to fight it because the state is leveraging on corruption for the political actors to remain in power. So if I can give you a rundown, I think I'll start with the carpet duvet issue. That I think the carpet duvet issue, when it was exposed, it was more like one faction fighting another. But if you look at it closely, you'd note that the carpet duvet was an issue where chief executive officers in state enterprises and parastatals, they get huge packs to finance factions. So the carpet duvet issue is not divorced from the Keshon Pasi issue, neither is it divorced from the Mchichetere issue. So my own analysis, informed by work we do as TIZ, is that state enterprises seems to be the hunting ground of politicians. When they want to get money, they find money in state enterprise. So whenever you see corruption in state enterprises, you tend to notice that the minister or the parent ministry and the minister of that parent ministry is involved, the CEO or the chief executive officer is involved, the PEMSEC is involved. So you look at the Minister of Mines and MMCZ, you tend to see that Kuchikanga was implicated. Then MMCZ, being a state enterprise, is the hunting ground for the political actors. Then I think the ZimdiTv scandal, which we saw lately, and there were interesting nuances around tribal politics, factionalism, and Robin Hoodism. I think what it confirmed was that there is conflation of party and power, party and state business in Zimbabwe, where money meant for state purposes, public revenue meant for public use, was used to finance things like the 1 Million Men March, which to me is a party, it was a party event. Things like the First Lady's campaigns in Mazoe and March Central. So there is that conflation of state and power and party business in Zimbabwe. But what it seems to show is that there is massive grand political corruption, which has fueled and justified petty level corruption. So when those in power, they engage in corruption, they're doing it to reproduce their political power. And when bureaucrats and citizens engage in corruption through bribery, which is the main form of petty level corruption in Zimbabwe, it's attached to livelihood. So people bribe to safeguard their limited livelihood opportunities. So that's my perception, and that's my understanding, informed by my analysis with Transparency International Zimbabwe.
And so then can we say, from what you have said, and we have seen quite a lot of cases being exposed in the media, and especially when ministers move from one ministry to another, are we likely to see these cases being taken to court and some conviction?
Definitely not. Like I said earlier on, that the main reason why these cases are exposed is not for all intended purposes to fight corruption. It's just political infighting where they're leveraging against what they know about one another. So you tend to see that. I personally think that people within government, they knew how much Keshon Pasi was earning. They knew how much Carpet Duvet was earning. They knew how much Reward Kangai was earning. Up to a point when there was factional politics and these factional fights. So they are using this type of information to discredit one another. So the intent and the motive is not so much to fight corruption, but it's to unseat and to undo each other. Then if you look at it from a politically economy perspective, the press told us that when these officers of the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission went to try to make an arrest on Jonathan Moyo, the VP said that an arrest on Jonathan Moyo would destabilize the government. Then the president was said to have stopped that arrest. So those nuances, they seem to point to the fact that anti-corruption will take shape if there is the will of the big men, if there is the will of the powerful political actors, and which then justifies is what we've been seeing lately, the social movements against corruption, where citizens are trying to own the dialogue and demand for justice. We can't expect a miracle from those with the political power because they are leveraging on corruption. So I think going forward, I think we're going to see the social space being overtaken by citizens in different platforms trying to demand for corrective action from the state.